All right, welcome back to the Kean and the Prez Football Podcast, where we discuss everything going on in the NFL. And we're back for our Week 2 picks. Again, we'll do the same format where we go in depth on the first 5 games, and then we'll give you our quick hitters on the rest of the Week 2 lineup. Let's start with our Thursday night matchup. AFC East rivals. Not much of a rivalry as of late, as the Bills have dominated this matchup and have won the AFC East the last 4 years. So the Bills again going to Miami. Miami needing to win this game really to establish a chance to win the division. Uh, I'm not sure they're going to be able to do it. I know the Bills have had a lot of changes in personnel. They still were able to eke a win out of the Cardinals last week. And in this game, I think it's going to be the same old story. I think the Bills are going to go down to Florida and handle business. Give me the Bills over the Dolphins.
I also have the Bills over the Dolphins. I think the Dolphins might make this close if they can have some good offensive plays, but I think the Bills' defense is pretty good, and I think their offense will still be great. And I think the Dolphins just aren't going to be able to deal with the Bills, and Buffalo will be able to win this game.
All right, next up, the Sunday night matchup, marquee matchup between two young quarterbacks, one who hasn't proven himself and one who continues to prove himself. That is right, we're having the Texans play the Bears on Sunday Night Football. I think this is great to see if Caleb learns from anything he did in Week 1. He didn't turn the ball over, but he only threw for 93 yards. They eked out a win over the Titans. Their defense looks like they're going to be as good as I thought they were, but they're going against a buzzsaw in the Texans, and CJ is going to make it tough for that team. I think Caleb will play a little bit better. I don't think he's going to be a fully developed NFL quarterback for some time. He's going to have to go through the trials. But I think this will be a nice test for them. But either way, I got the Texans beating the Bears on Sunday night.
Yeah, I think the Texans are a top team, and the Bears are still trying to become a top team. And I think the Texans' offense and defense are just going to be able to beat the Bears. And I think while the Bears do have uh, a decent defense, I think the Texans will be able to run the ball and make some good passes. And I think their defense will be pretty good this year. So I think the Texans will be able to win this game. Although I think the Bears might make it a little close. I think Houston will.
All right, and then for our Monday night matchup, we get the Eagles facing the Atlanta Falcons. Eagles traveling back from Brazil after their hard-fought victory over the Packers, where the Falcons are trying to bounce back from their home loss to the Steelers. The Falcons, I feel bad for Kirk Cousins. This is like the third year in a row where he's had an early game against a very good Eagles team. Last 2 years, of course, being with the Minnesota Vikings. But I don't think it's going to change much. I think that Kirk looks slow, looked like he's still recovering from Achilles. It's a hard injury to recover from. I thought he was able to have zip on the ball, but I'm really worried about his mobility. I feel like the Eagles' defense isn't quite to the level of the Steelers. That's an understatement. I think they'll have a little more success, but I still think the Eagles are a better team overall. I think the Falcons are one of those teams that's going to really progress throughout the year, especially if Kirk is able to improve. But in this week, I've got the Eagles beating the Falcons.
Yeah, I think the Steelers' offense did a little better than expected against the Falcons' defense, but the Falcons, I don't think uh, they'll be able to stop the Eagles. I think the Eagles have a pretty good offense, and even if they might turn over the ball, I think that their offense is better than the Steelers, and um, they will be able to run the ball and pass the ball. And the defense should be good enough. So I think the Eagles will win this one pretty easily if we see the same Falcons that we saw last week.
All right. One of our other good matchups this Sunday is a rematch from the divisional game that happened last year in the playoffs in the NFC, and that is the Detroit Lions at home versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Tampa Bay beat up on the Commanders and offensively looked really, really good. Able to show down Jaden Daniels just enough in that game, but Baker came out firing with 4 touchdown passes. Uh, They also, though, had a lot of injuries to the secondary, lost multiple corners, and remember they're trying to replace Carlton Davis, so it's going to be tough sledding. I was really happy to see the Lions really incorporate Jameson Williams in their win over the Rams last week, even giving them another weapon. I think the Lions also are very familiar with who they are. At the end of the game, just ran the ball down the Rams' throat. So I think this is going to be a close game, but I still like the Lions to win this one at home. I think they will take advantage of those Buck weaknesses on defense due to injuries, but I do think Baker will play well. But give me the Lions and another squeaker over the Bucks.
Yeah, although I think the Buccaneers are a pretty good team, it will be very difficult to beat the Lions. I think the Lions' offense will still be very difficult to stop, and I think the run game will uh, just just be able to be efficient. And I think the Buccaneers might challenge the Lions a little bit in scoring, but I think the Lions will score on most of their drives and be able to win this game.
All right. Last marquee matchup. Not a great week for matchups, by the way. We're going to go with the 1-0 San Francisco 49ers traveling to Minnesota to face the 1-0 Sam Darnold-led Minnesota Vikings. Now, Sam Darnold looked good against the Giants. Not sure if that's because of the Giants were letting receivers run free all over the field, or Minnesota is just really, really good. Who knows? We're going to find out this week as they face the reigning NFC Championship 49ers. 49ers, without McCaffrey on Monday night, were able to run the ball right down the Jets' throats, which is kind of impressive considering the Jets do have a top 10 defense. I am going to really curious to see. I do think Brian Flores is one of the better defensive coordinators, what he schemes up to stop that run. And because I'm not sure McCaffrey is going to play this week. And if I was 49ers, why rush him back? If he's sore with that calf tendonitis or Achilles tendonitis, why rush him back? I wouldn't play him this week. But the key here is, the Sam Darnold's play. If he's able to not turn the ball over, make enough plays down the field, he can keep this game close. I just don't think they have enough firepower, and I have the 49ers winning this game over the Minnesota Vikings. Ken, who do you have?
Now, a distinct game I remember from last season was when the Vikings beat the 49ers.
They did.
Cam Bynum got 2 interceptions, and the Vikings got a big upset win. And I think if that can happen last year, it can happen this year.
True.
And I think, although it will be difficult to stop the 49ers offense, if they can score, but I think the Vikings might be able to score, and if the 49ers turn the ball over like they did last year, I think the Vikings definitely have a chance of possibly winning this game. So, I think if everything goes well for the Vikings, they can win.
So who are you picking?
The Vikings.
Okay. Just be clear. Taking the Vikings. All right. So those are our picks for the top 5 matchups. All right, let's go through our quick hitters. All right. Cowboys want to know, Saints want to know. Who's going to win this matchup? I mean, if you base it on the point differential, you got to go Saints, right? Nope, I'm going Cowboys. And they roll.
Yeah, I had the Saints finishing 4th in the division, and they might be a little better than I thought, but I still think the Cowboys should win this game pretty easily.
Next up, we got the Colts facing the Packers. Sucks for Packers fans. Jordan Love's injury, but it could have been a lot worse, especially if you watched that horrified video. I've got the Colts winning this one just because the Packers are recovering on his injury. Not sure what's going to happen at quarterback. Give me the Colts.
Yeah. If Jordan Love wasn't injured, I would take the Packers, but I think the Colts are good enough to be able to be a team that's down their starting quarterback, even if the team is pretty good. So I think the Colts will win.
Next up, we got the Jets versus the Titans. I'm not expecting a lot from this game. In fact, if I were you, I would take the under. But that's unless Will Levis decides just to hand off the ball to the other team again. Either way, I got the Jets flying into Tennessee and beating the Titans.
Yeah, I think the Jets' defense wasn't great last game, but the 49ers have a great offense. and I think the Jets will be able to get a bounce back win, but it might be a little close.
Next up, Seattle flies to New England to face the Patriots, a team that decided to ruin everybody's survivor pool last week, and including mine. I'm going to take the Seahawks to beat the Patriots. I think they'll be able to cause enough pressure on Mr. Jacoby Brissett and make this game a little tougher. But again, take the under on this game. I think it'll be a low-scoring affair.
Yeah, I think the Seahawks are a better team, and although the Patriots did get the win last week, I think the Seahawks defense should be able to stop the Patriots, so I have them win.
Next up, NFC East rivalry renewed. Commanders face the Giants, and the Giants already are realizing that they have the worst quarterback in this matchup as Daniel Jones looks horrible again. I don't think there's going to be a lot of defense or good offense played in this one, but give me the Commanders, I guess. Ugh.
Yeah, this kind of rivalry game against amongst two not great teams, I just think the Commanders have a better quarterback right now, and I think their offense will be better. And the Vikings blew out the Giants, so I think the Commanders can have a little bit of a win.
Next up, we have the Chargers and the Panthers, and based on simple math equations and stuff like that, the Chargers can win this game 85-3. So, give me the Chargers.
Yeah, I think the Chargers are going to be a pretty good team, so I just think the Chargers will beat the Panthers pretty easily.
Next up, we have Jacksonville versus Cleveland. I don't even want to talk about what's going on in Cleveland with the quarterback and him being a disgusting human being and having the worst contract ever. So I'm just going to say I think the Jags robbed themselves of a win in Miami, and I think they'll make up for it with a win over the Browns.
Yeah, the Browns were a pretty good team last year, but they didn't look so great last game in Dallas. And I think the Jags almost beat the Dolphins, so I think they can beat the Browns.
I think the Ravens have had extra time. I think they're going to take it to the Raiders. I think they're going to destroy the Raiders and prove that they may be the second best team in the AFC.
Yeah, I think the Ravens are just one of the best teams in the league, and they will be able to prove it against the Raiders.
Next up, we got the Rams and Cardinals, and I think that this game will be close, but the fact the Rams' offensive line is really, really damaged won't be too bad because the Cardinals don't really have a defense. So I think the Rams will put up some points and easily handle the Cardinals in the desert.
I just think the Cardinals look pretty good against the Bills mostly, and the Rams' defense might have a bit of a tough time. And the Cardinals have been pretty good against good teams, so I have the Cardinals winning.
Next up, Pittsburgh travels to Denver to face Bo Nix and the Broncos. Bo Nix had a tough time in Seattle in his first start, and it's going to get even tougher. He's going to be introduced to a man by the name of T.J. Watt, and T.J. Watt is going to be in his backfield all evening long. Give me the Steelers.
Yeah, I think the Steelers should be able to win this game if their offense continues to play well and the defense is still great. So the Steelers, I think, should win this one.
Next up, we got two old rivals, the Chiefs and the Bengals. And I know the Bengals have owned the Chiefs in some of the head-to-head matchups. But Joe Burrow's wrist is not 100%. And there's worry there may never be 100% again. That's not the least of their worries. They've got some other issues on that team. But that said, I think the Chiefs win and win handily.
Yeah, the Bengals lost to the Patriots last week, and I think the Chiefs will just win this one. And I don't know how the Bengals could win this one at all. So I think the Chiefs will easily win.
Which probably means the Bengals will win. Because
Yeah,
that's the
yeah,
NFL.
Probably.
That's the NFL, right? But anyways, those are our picks for this week. Please enjoy another awesome weekend slate of NFL, and we'll be back next week. Take care.